with our 2020 HBCU Fantasy Ball Tournament. Of course, we've taken the best 32 teams in women's basketball in the HBCU, and we put them into 4 regions. And we're turning it over. We did all the hard work, led by, of course, by our commissioner, our committee chairman, rather, AD Drew. Nice job, AD.
Don't put me on that commissioner stuff.
The matchups are all the matchups are all because of him. No, but now you, the fans, get a chance to vote and advance your team into the second round, the regional finals, and the Final Four, and even crown a fantasy championship. So let's have a little fun with this. We've already introduced the C. Vivian Stringer region. Let's introduce the Lonnie Bartley region. The region winner of this will take on the Stringer region winner.
And that fast 3 times.
I know. I just stumbled all over it. So, man, I tell you. Sorry about that. Okay, so number 1 seed is Norfolk State, the Norfolk State Spartans. Coach Larry Vickers, of course, 19-11 overall. We already talked about them. Now, the number 2 seed in this region, how about this? Another Virginia school from out of the CIAA, Virginia Union, the Panthers, with a 23-4 overall record. They were 13-2 in the conference. They actually finished in first in the CIAA North, the very competitive North. They actually came out as the 1 seed going into the tournament. Unfortunately, did not have a lot of success in the tournament. Head coach Anne-Marie Gilbert, in her 5th year at Virginia Union, with a 135-18 record there. So a great run right now at Virginia Union. AD, tell us about Virginia Union, the Panthers.
Virginia Union had 2 long winning streaks this year. They won 11, then they won 7 in a row at different points of time this year. Their big victories came in conference. They beat Bowie. They beat Fayetteville State twice. And I believe Fayetteville State probably is going to be in this tournament. The thing to note about this Virginia Union team, they are the highest rated Division II team, according to the Massey scale, that we have in this tournament. Rating number 40 out of the 311 Division II teams that we have, Brian. Also, you want to talk about defense? This team plays defense. They can score the rock, and they play defense just as good. They average 70.5 points per game on offense. They only gave up 54.6. That's almost a 16-point scoring differential, Brian. Think about that. You're outscoring people by 16 points. So in order to get a 16-point average, that means you're beating people by 20 plus a night, almost nights of the 23 victories.
Let me ask you this, just an opinion or thought here, based on what we see the ratings as what we think. Had Virginia Union won the CIAA, and they have 2 wins over the CIAA tournament champion, Fayetteville State. Mm-hmm. Do you think their rating would have been higher? Do you think they would have ended up as a 1, even if they would have made it to the championship game? Your thoughts?
Possibly would have been a 1. I would have had to have gone back into the Massey scale to see where the other teams in their region of the Division II tournament actually wound up. But
let's just say if they won it, don't you think their resume would have been strong enough if they had won the CIAA tournament to be a 1 seed over maybe Norfolk State?
In our tournament, yes. I think they would have. And Brian, just for the sake of argument, would it not be lovely to see these 2 play on the court against each other in real life? They're right there in each other's backyards.
Well, How about we talk about games that you want to see? I don't know who else was in that committee room with you, AD, but I'll tell you the 3 seed. They might be fussing about their seeding and their placement as well, because it's the SIAC tournament champions, the Benedict Tigers, and this was a team that I for sure thought was a 2 seed at minimum. Could have been a 1 seed. Benedict with an overall record of 27-3, 15-2 in conference. As I mentioned, Coach James Rice, in 8 years at Benedict, has put together a heck of a program. And as I mentioned, they won the SIAC tournament. AD, this team they won 22 of their last 23 games. Why is this team a 3 seed? Why aren't they a 2? Why aren't they a 1?
Benedict was rated number 71 in Division II, which is behind Bowie State, who's a number 2, who's rated number 59. They're behind the 3 CIAA teams, 3 of the CIAA teams that we have in the tournament, Brian. That's what kicked Benedict down to the 3 line. Benedict did not play anybody out of conference. Their biggest wins were against Tuskegee. They beat them in the regular season. They beat them in the tournament. Other than, and of course they beat. They did not even beat Miles, Brian, who was another SIEC team. So if you can't take care of that business in conference,
wait a minute. Are you saying they couldn't beat Miles?
They lost to Miles regular season. So if they had beaten Miles, they're up on the 2 line. Miles finished first in the SIAC West. So when you're playing 1 versus 1, you lost, and you've got 3 other CIAA teams who are rated ahead of you. That's why Benedict winds up on the 3 line, Brian.
I just want it to be noted for the record. They lost. That was the first game of I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the conference opener, if I remember correctly.
It was the conference opener. Then they won 15 in a row. And the only reason they lost the game after the 15th in a row is because it was a back-to-back against Fort Valley. They lost by 3. I mean, they had just beaten Fort Valley, I think, on a Saturday, and then had to turn around and play them on a Tuesday.
Right.
Or some kind of weird schedule. So they lost by 3 to Fort Valley, and then Benedict ran on. But, I mean, 3 losses. No other team lost fewer games than Benedict.
Right. But Benedict didn't play anybody non-conference.
Okay, well, maybe that's it. It should be noted.
That helped, and with the CIAA team, their victories coming in, most of their big victories coming in conference, but their conference is rated higher than the CIAA, so that's going to give them a boost. One other thing about Benedict, talk about defensive teams. This team scores at a 75.4 clip, only gives up 57.3 per game.
Taking a look at where these teams were going into the NCAA tournament, we had a matchup between Bowie State and Virginia Union that was supposed to happen in the Division II tournament. Bowie State would have been a 4 seed, Virginia Union a 5 seed. I believe they were going to be in the Atlantic region. And then in the South region, Benedict was a 6 seed, about to play a 3-seeded team they would have been in Florida, but they would have been in a very hard region, in my opinion. But Benedict, one of my favorite teams to watch, and this is a brutal bracket because the number 4 seed is another team that we had an opportunity to see, and I think highly of this team as well. This is just who came up with this bracket anyway. The number 4 seed, Talladega Tornadoes, are the 4 seed. They of the GCAC, 27-5, another 27-win team in this region. AD, they were 14-0 in conference, won the first 2 games of the GCAC tournament, and then probably had one of the worst shooting nights that they've had all season, and they ended up losing in the championship. Coach Kevin Herod, Herod in the 6 years at Talladega has done a great job there. AD, explain to the people how Talladega, another 27-win team, is a 4 seed in this region.
Talladega rated, first of all, they are the highest rated NAIA team that we have in our tournament. They were the 17th rated NAIA team in the nation according to the Massey scale. That's out of 235 Division I teams. Good defensive team and good offensive team. They are the highest scoring team that we have in the tournament at 83-3 a game, giving up 66-4 a game. So that, once again, that's one of those teams that blow teams out when they are on the court. But their Massey rating, partly because they're an NAIA team, even when we adjusted everything out, did not rate as high as some of the other teams.
All right. Well, the matchups get even wilder, and the tournament teams get even. Look, this is the region from hell, because the number 5 seed taking on Talladega in the first round is Miles College. That's right, the Miles College that beat Benedict and finished first in the SIAC West with an overall record of 20-8, 14-4 in conference. Miles College taking on Talladega in the first round. AD, what are we doing here? Tell us about Miles.
Let's see. Miles won 4 of the last 5 to end the regular season. Their biggest victories came against Auburn, Montgomery, and of course they beat Benedict to open up the season. Miles' problem, 173 out of 235, which put them in the 44th percentile in Division II. That is why Miles is rated as a number 5 team. They score 65 points a game. They give up 55 points a game. But it's their overall Massey rating and what they rate at compared to their peers, which does not allow them to bump up and bump off some of the bigger programs.
I'm, if anyone watching this is sitting here thinking about this and you're looking at these ratings, you're just like, wow, what a region. I mean, this is an outstanding region.
If this was on, if these teams were playing on the court, this would be, you got 40 minutes of hell, this would be the region from hell.
Norfolk would be packed. They'd be playing this probably at the Scope. Not only would you have the number 1 seed Norfolk State playing in their backyard, but then you're combining Virginia Union, Benedict, Talladega, and Miles. I mean, this would be a heck of a look. If this were really happening, I tell you what, you'd be missing out on some great basketball games. That's all I'm saying.
Talladega and Miles got to travel all the way to Norfolk, Virginia, when the 2 schools are an hour apart. That would be a good game just to move to Alabama somewhere.
Right. All right, let's go to the 6th seed in this region, taking on the 3 seed Benedict, and that is North Carolina Central out of the MEAC. They finished 5th in the MEAC with an overall record. They were 13-7 overall, but they did
13-17.
Thank you. 13-17 overall, but they were 9-7 in the regular season. Tell us a little bit about North Carolina Central, AD.
Coach Stafford Odom over there had this team trended in the right direction to end the season. They won 6 of their last 7, and check this, Brian. They beat A&T not once, not twice, but 3 times this season. So unfortunately, those were their only big victories that they had during the season. This team scored at a 66 point per game clip, gave up 69 points per game. And they were the 288th ranked Division I team in the Massey rating.
All right, the number 7 seed in this bracket, the Winston-Salem State Rams from the CIAA. They finished 3rd in the CIAA South with an overall record 15-16. They were 8-9 in the conference, but in the division, they are 7-5. And so Winston-Salem comes in as the 7 seed, AD.
Yes, won 4 of the last 5 to end the season. Their big wins came against a West Virginia State University, HBCU, that plays in the Mountain East, in the very competitive Mountain East Conference up there. And also they beat Lincoln of PA, which was conference victories. They were the 170th team, 45th percentile. They scored 61 points per game, gave up 59 points per game.
All right, and the last team, the 8th seed, taking on, they're going to be playing Norfolk State, is Central State, excuse me, of the SIAC. Central State finished 14-16 overall. They were 10-8 in the regular season, finished tied for 2nd in the SIAC West. AD, Central started off rough, but they ended up with a good record towards the end.
Yeah, they started off terrible. 9 of 11 to start the season. They played a very tough non-conference schedule. They won 3 of the last 4. The big wins were against a team called Bellarmine, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. But I believe they actually made the Division II tournament. I have to go back and check that, but I know they finished above 500. I believe that Bellarmine team was an 18-win team. They beat Miles. And they beat Tuskegee. Miles, we already know, is in the tournament. We're waiting to see if Tuskegee made the tournament. Central State scored 64 points a game, gave up 65 points per game.
All right. So as we look at this bracket, let's look at this only from the perspective of what the fans might do, because I think we can both agree seeds 1 through 5 are very good teams, had great seasons. And so on the court, we know it'd be some interesting matchups, and not only in the first round, but in the second round particularly. But let's talk from a fan perspective. How do you see, what's your thoughts on what might happen from a fan perspective and who might advance?
Coming out of this region, Norfolk, Central State, we saw what Central State fans did in the first rounds of the men's tournament. Hope that those fans would get back behind them once again. Talladega, Miles. 2 teams that love to hate each other. They're in each other's backyards. Both of these groups got out and voted in the first round. Talladega advanced out of the first round. Miles advanced out of the first round, and I'm talking about in the men's tournament. Talladega made it to the Elite 8 and is dangerously close to pulling off the upset and making it to the Final 4. I think Talladega beats Miles and comes out in the fan voting. Benedict, North Carolina Central. Flip a coin on that one, Brian.
Well, the North Carolina, surprisingly, the North Carolina Central crowd kind of fell asleep on their men's team. So I think there's an edge here for Benedict.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going. You would think Central should win it, but given the voting from the men's team, I'm tempted to agree with you. Winston-Salem, Virginia Union.
CIAA matchup right there.
CIAA matchup. Winston-Salem,
coin toss, right?
Your boy Stephen A. Smith didn't come through for you on the men's side because you had this man pick. Maybe he'll come through for you on the women's side, Brian.
Well, so we had a MEAC matchup a SWAC matchup in the Vivian Stringer region. We have a CIAA matchup and a backyard brawl in this region. So this region will be very interesting. to see. Again, I think real highly of, just in basketball terms, I think really highly of Norfolk State, Talladega, Miles, Virginia Union, and Benedict. I'm not even going to get into talking about the basketball side of it, because I think those 5 teams, the collection that we have in that region is unprecedented. I think it'll be interesting to see what the committee did in our next 2 regions. We still have the Bo Browder region and the Robert Skinner region to go through, and we will introduce those regions shortly. I think next up, we're going to the Bo Browder region. So stay tuned. Make sure your voting counts here. You can go to mybcsn.net/vote-WBB. And that's where you can make a vote once a day and pick your favorite team and advance them into the next round. Voting ends in round 1 on Wednesday at noon. All right. We'll be back right after these words with the Bo Browder region.